I want to start by doing the housekeeping. So anybody who has a comment, please either hold up your hand or use the icon to put the hand symbol. And guests who or anybody who's not a board member, please limit it to 2 minutes. And we will try to get to your questions as we do our presentations. I want to turn it over to Meg, who is going to take roll call and also get the approval of the February meeting minutes. Hi, Chuck.
Okay, so let's see. I think I'm getting. Okay, so Nancy's John Thies. I don't see you on. Jenny's not going to be here. Roger Gray and Nancy Sage. Okay. So I have roll call, and then I need for approval of the minutes from last meeting. I need, hopefully everyone's had a chance to review them, and so I need someone to move to approve them and to second. Does anyone so move?
So moved.
And seconded. Carrie seconded.
Okay, who was that Rob?
Yeah, I need a motion.
Okay. And then that's it. Minutes have been moved and seconded.
Okay, great. We have committee reports, but before we do that, and we don't have a guest speaker today, I wanted to leave it to a couple of things that we need to talk about. One of them is if you know of anybody who wants to run for a board position, we're accepting those now. There's a form on the website where candidates can submit. And I know Chris Durkee's going to talk in a bit because he is throwing his hat in to be chair. As many of you know, I've been wanting to step down for a while, and this is I'm really grateful that somebody who really knows the PNA and really has the neighborhood, the neighborhood's best interest is interested in stepping in. Chris would be a great addition, and I endorse him strongly. I want to move on to the general meeting. So that's in mid-April. And that is, I have a tentative agenda, and I wanted to get everybody's feedback on it. So at the general meeting, we're going to have it in person as usual, and we'll have it videotaped through Zoom, but probably not taking messages like we've done in the past. That hasn't always been easy or worked out so well, and people are not necessarily that engaged. So we're looking for somebody who will be willing to bring their laptop to the general meeting and just make sure the camera is getting people, or maybe even move the camera a little bit. They'd be centered in the room. Is there anybody on the call so far that might volunteer to do that? Or do you know anybody who is comfortable doing that?
I'd be happy to do that.
Oh, thank you, Elisa. I really appreciate it. It shouldn't be too terribly complicated, but there will be some slides for some of the presentation that you just slip in. And I know you're very tech savvy, so I sure appreciate your doing that. And you have a laptop you can bring?
Yep.
Perfect.
Yeah, and I'll go over with you what you need so that I don't screw it up. So we can talk about that.
We can. Meg, if you could put an action item in the meeting minutes. I know we only do broad strokes and action items, but if you could mark that Elisa has volunteered to do that, so it reminds me to check back with her. So at the general meeting, we'll have housekeeping, roll call, approval of meeting minutes, and then the Park Academy representative usually steps in and gives like a 5-minute commercial. And after that, I was thinking that we would have all of the committee members and board members stand up at the front of the room and each one give a piece of their committee or the board work that we've done, what we've accomplished in a minute or two, preferably a minute. We can each have like a sound bite of what that committee's done for the past 12 years, for the past 12 months, so that to give the to give those in the audience an idea of what we do, and also encourage them to join in. There may be something of interest to them, or they may have questions about it. How does that sound so far? Does that seem agreeable? Does anybody have an objection to that?
I just have a question. Are you going to have us all up there sitting and we stand up and take the mic and do our report? Or are we coming from the audience up to the front to do our report?
I thought we'd have everybody sit in the front rows and then come up. And then when everybody's done, then everybody sits down. Does that sound good? Carrie?
Yeah, I was just clarifying.
Okay, yeah, just wanted to know. And then on the screen behind, it would have your committee or your, the bullet points as well while you're talking. Or do you think that's distracting?
I don't think I need anything behind me, but if
Okay.
if people do that have like anybody who's reporting, can you review who's going to be reporting? Chris is in Meg or land use.
Yes, and Nancy is parks. David will do events and maybe some emergency prep. We haven't quite said, but and then of course Rob is traffic and safety. Who have I missed? And then you've got several committees. So anyways, does that answer your question?
Yeah, Chuck, will you do volunteering and recruiting? If I write something up for you? Are you going to be there? You're on mute. I can't hear you. Okay, perfect. Thanks. Cool.
Rick, can you hear us? I don't see you, so I don't know if you can hear us.
Yeah, I'm listening.
Okay, so do you want to do the emergency prep report in terms of what has been accomplished for the last 12 months? I think that really should, if you are going to be at the general meeting, since you're responsible for so much of it over the last 12 years, really, or 15 years, however long. Is that something?
Yeah, I can plan on doing that. Let me just check my schedule to make sure I didn't even put it on this calendar yet. Make sure I don't have a conflict with that date, but
Okay.
I'll plan on it.
Because you can also just write up something and we can read it if you happen to not be there.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, that sounds fine.
And Rob and Nancy, are you, is everybody else good about writing like a minute's worth of what we've accomplished?
Sure.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the goal being, that people realize that what we do, because not every day, but I frequently still get people say, oh, the PNA doesn't do anything, and this, that, and the other thing. And they're thinking about years past where we were not as active. So, trying to get people to see that is great. And Carrie has started as I think everybody has seen, hopefully a section on the website of PNA efforts. Or I don't know if I was the one who started it and Carrie carried it on. But anyways, that's also a section of the website that people can be pointed to if you do get that kind of feedback. And also I want to make the emphasis that we are moving the needle with the city, and we are, through our increasing readership, are getting a larger voice. And so whatever, and for all of the different committees, we can maybe say that specifics of how we're getting a bigger voice with the city and moving the needle and getting heard. I know Rob Heap's done quite a bit of that, and Rick, you've been in contact with the fire chief and other people who are taking us more seriously with emergency prep and land use, and parks has certainly been very much in touch with those with the city and the different departments there. And I'm sure there's some things that I've missed. So I look forward to seeing those. Then after the committee reports, I thought, everybody, I really want to hear what you have to say, but Carrie suggested that, I think it was Carrie, that we have a 5-minute break and then our main speaker comes on. So hopefully people won't go home after the committee reports, which I'm hoping is just all of that, what I just said would be in the first 15, 20 minutes. And then a 5-minute break, and then Assistant Chief Hartman would give her talk. Everybody good with that? Roll it over in your head.
Is the break a chance to like socialize, or how are
Yeah.
we envisioning that? Or just take a break in general?
Yeah, it's just socializing, stretching your legs, going to the bathroom. Yeah, maybe it'll probably be at least half an hour or something, between half an hour and 40 minutes after we start.
Oh, okay.
So, but what happened last year is people got up and left.
Well,
At the
that's what I
break,
was thinking, is people might leave, but
after 30 minutes?
I don't know.
Oh, Mega's
funny.
saying yes. Oh, man. So what do you guys think that before we do the break, I said, hey, let's take a 5-minute break, but we're gonna have Assistant Fire Chief Artman give her talk, and I really appreciate her being there. Please make sure to stay for that. Something that compels people to stay a little longer.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
I'll come up with some kind of wording, but yeah, it might need to be compelling. David, you're smiling. You have some wording that you want to give?
Well, no, I think that's fine. It's a tough time of evening though. If you take a break, you're likely to have some falling off people, just because of competing priorities. But you always have to keep that desire to keep people's attention. And
Should we just push
also,
through?
how long does the meetings? How long is the total time for the meeting planned?
It's usually an hour and a half. And what do we have it starting at 6 or 6:30, Carrie? Do you remember?
On the postcard that I designed for the city, it's 6:30 to 8:30.
Yeah, okay.
But what is going to happen, like in the beginning? Like there was talk of like tables being set up and everybody kind of being at your spot. So there's like mingling in the beginning, right? So maybe, is that everybody agreeing with that? And that's when, and then go into the meeting at 7? Is that what you're thinking?
I'm good with that. I had some people be a little upset because last year, because we did that and we said mingling from this time to this time, meeting starts at 7, and they're like, well, I thought the meeting was going to start at 6:30. So I'm thinking maybe if I have on the screen, the big screen on the stage, mingling 6:30 to 7, and then meeting starts at 7, or do you guys think we should start at 6:30?
Could we mingle for 15 minutes and then start the meeting and people won't be so antsy?
I'm good with that. Who wants to do that? Please raise your hand if that sounds good. Okay, so 6:30, Meg, if you can write that down, 6:30 to 6:45 will be socializing, and then the meeting starts. And then we power through, is that what I understand? Or
Yeah.
I'm totally open to what people are thinking. Who wants to power through? Raise of hands, please.
I would just power through, and I would just say to them at the beginning, like, feel free to get up and use the restroom if you need to.
Oh, I like that.
And that's located wherever it's located in Park Academy. You're not interrupting. Feel free to do that. And then people can just do it on their own.
I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's good for me to say that so people feel comfortable doing that. I like that a lot. And I'm not going to do the big food thing. I don't think that was successful. I'm just gonna bring water and cups and or maybe bottled water and some Costco cookies. And plates and napkins, or maybe just napkins. So, you know, just keep it simple. Any ideas on that? I'm really happy to hear whatever anybody wants to do. Of course, if you suggest something, you know who gets volunteered to do it.
What's the programming after the assistant
Okay.
chief goes?
And then after the assistant chief, I want to do a short slideshow of the advantages of being emergency prepared. 3-day backpacks as well as 2 weeks prepared, plus a short thing on response during an event and recovery after an event. And during that time, I want us to pass out surveys, paper surveys that hopefully everybody in the audience, including board members, and have everybody fill out what their interest is, what their, we'd have some kind of little survey to get some kind of feedback about how we can message better or what their interest level is. Does that make sense? And then there'd be somebody collecting them at the back door as people leave. Or a box they can put it in or whatever. Does that sound good? And that's pretty much it. That's what I've got.
That survey could be taken ahead of time too, right? Before the programming even starts at the emergency prep spot, or are you going to keep it just for that time?
It kind of depends on you, Gary, because you and I were going to put that survey together and you're limited on time now. So
That survey to me was always going to be like in the newsletter. I didn't realize you wanted to make that part of the general meeting. So
it's just an idea I had recently, since we'll have people actually physically there. We could get some response directly after and if we need to tweak it for an online, then we can do that too. Or I can come up with something and everybody else could, those who are interested, you and David and Chris, if he's in, and Rick, if he's interested, can give feedback on the survey. You good with that, Carrie?
yeah,
Or you think it's rushing it, or?
I just I feel, yeah, I don't even know what we're trying to accomplish with the survey right now, but I know that there's emails, things in Basecamp and going on, so I'm behind on emergency prep.
Okay.
So I guess digital surveys are really easy to blast a lot of people with. So that's all.
I 100% agree. I'm just
Yeah.
taking advantage of having an audience. Chris, you have your hand up?
Yeah, what's the plan for ballots? Do they pick up a ballot at the desk when they come in, and then do they hand them in at some point, and then are the results counted that night and announced that night?
What we typically do is, yes, hand out paper ballots and also announce that, well, yes, hand out paper ballots, but then they're counted with the digital online voting and the results are announced a couple days after.
Okay, not at the meeting.
No, because that's a lot to ask somebody. I don't think we've ever done it that way.
Okay,
It's just a lot to do all at once. But yeah, that's polls close at the closing of the general meeting. So. Boy, that was quick. It's 7:20 and because we haven't done the committee reports. Before we move on to committee reports, is there anybody who has any other ideas or thoughts regarding the general meeting? Is there
How much time are we allocating for Assistant Chief Artman?
who talked to her? Was that you or Chris?
It was me. You and I started the conversation, and then she agreed. But I'm not sure we said 10 or 15 minutes, or
Yeah,
is
10
it
to 15.
minutes?
Doesn't that sound about right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think people get kind of, it's a lot. to be
Yeah.
talked at for too much longer. And if it can be concise, then that's, and of course we can put up slides or videos or whatever she has to emphasize. And she and I are meeting next week to talk about it. And hopefully she can also have some messaging about preparedness, response, and recovery, and what the fire department can and can't do, and that kind of a thing.
She will, if Chris doesn't cover the South Shore Fire Department task force, then she will most likely cover that during her time.
I'm not sure. I had kind of assumed that she was going to give us a South Shore Fire Station update.
Yeah.
But
I think that's best.
yeah,
I think that's what she thinks too.
yeah, that would be my preference. Yeah.
Elisa?
Yes, so of course I'm super new and this might not be appropriate, but I'm wondering if there's anything we could do to say, what are the issues going on in our neighborhood? We're having a voice through the PNA has been and will be really important, like parking near the high school, the fire station, parks use, just to get people have so they have a clear idea on why it's important to have a neighborhood association, how it can help them have a voice. Just a thought.
So you are suggesting that we ask the audience if they have any issues they want to bring up?
No, that we tell them what some of the issues are that are going on, and I know we'll cover some of this in the committee reports, but I was thinking like something very succinct that says, where we say, you know, on the horizon are these issues, and the PNA is working really, really closely with the city on these issues, and we'd love your involvement, so that they feel engaged with what we're doing.
I think that would be great as part of what Chuck will be reading, if you're going to write that up, Carrie. Aren't you going to write up some the volunteer thing for Chuck?
Yep. I'm gonna do that. I think yes.
But every committee, of course, will say what we've done in the past, but also what that committee is working on, as Elisa was just saying. I think we've got it covered, Elisa. I think. I've never seen that, all the hands going up. Rick Arthur says, talk about the new aquatic center and the skate park. Wait a minute, what, I've got that on the side. Where did it go? Rick, do you want to read that out loud? I'm not seeing my side.
Oh, I just think it'd be good to have somebody talk about the aquatic center because it's getting ready to open up. What's going on there, maybe some inside pictures and share that. Also, the skate park's been opened up in the last year. Talk about the successes of that. And then all the headaches we've been having on Stafford Road with all the road work. I know that's going to continue. Maybe people would like to know kind of an update on those things too. I think the general meeting would be a good time to bring that stuff up and how the PNA has participated in that, all these different things that have happened.
So I can get an update from Kira regarding LORAC. I know there's no official date yet, but it used to be late spring and late winter, and now they're saying late winter, early spring. So it pushed out. We don't have a date yet, but by next month, maybe we will. So I can collect that. Maybe for traffic, maybe Rob can get an update on the plans to close or manage Stafford Road.
Yeah, sure, I can give updates and share some of the information Clackamas County's provided.
Thank you. Thank you, Rob.
Yeah.
And yeah, so I think we got those are great ideas, Rick, and I think we got it covered between traffic and land use and parks, sorry, and parks. Let's see. Anything else before we move out of the general meeting? Okay, do we want to move on to treasurer? I see John is here now. So John, are you interested in giving us the treasurer's report? You're muted.
Is that better?
Yes,
Yeah, sorry about that. I had quite a bit of difficulty logging into Zoom.
I'm sorry. And Meg
So-
is the Meg Wilkinson is the secretary of the day. And if you want to email her the numbers, if you haven't already, that would be great.
Okay. I'll send it to Meg as soon as I'm done here. So our current balance in our Home Street bank account is $443.79. Our balance has been reduced by $164 since last month due to reimbursements made for yard signs. Did you get that, Carrie?
I did get it. Thank you. I got it today.
Okay, great. So we currently have about $253.98 in pending reimbursements for neighborhood meeting signs, website hosting fees, and laminating sheets and the like. And so to be eligible for the reimbursement expenses, I've covered this before. The expenses must be incurred between July 1st of 2024 and June 30th of 2025. And all of this has to be submitted by July 5th, 2025. So the city has a $100 minimum for submitting these reimbursement requests. We've exceeded that, but I'm anticipating additional spending by PNA this fiscal year for additional yard signs, website hosting fees, etc. So if possible, if folks could please provide me with expected expenditures so I can plan for submitting reimbursement requests to the city.
Sure. Oh, sorry, are you done?
No, I'm not. So last August, an invoice for $180 from Base Camp was submitted. I submitted the reimbursement request as web hosting fees, assuming it would be covered as a pre-approved expense. Upon review, the city declined the request as it appears to be related to project management, which is not a pre-approved expense. Upon further consideration, the city decided to make the reimbursement. But while this type of expense was not included in the pre-approved list of reimbursable expenses, the city will include this on the list of items to consider adding to the pre-approved list for next year. So I will be submitting this year's Base Camp subscription fees for reimbursement, and hopefully the city will approve them. So PNA currently has 2 signatories for our PNA Home Street bank account, the chair and the treasurer. And assuming the appointment of a new chair in April, there are several forms that will need to be filled out and submitted to the bank. I have these forms and will send them to the new chair once the appointment has been finalized. And PNA residents are encouraged to donate to our neighborhood association. So information about projected expenses and how to donate, please refer to the Get Involved and Want to Donate page on palisadesneighborhood.org. And by the way, I did ask about getting, never mind. I'm done.
Okay, thank you, John. Really appreciate all of your work and appreciate your staying on to for the next term as treasurer. It's a big job and appreciate it. So let's go down the list of committees. Is there anybody who wants to start? Rob, you want to start?
Sorry. Oh, yeah, I can give an update. So he had a couple communications out to Lake Oswego to, again, I think the main thing has been start discussions regarding the area surrounding Lake Ridge and the parking and safety. However, I haven't really heard back from them. So I'm hoping over the next couple of weeks that we can establish the time frame for more discussion on that. I think personally, and this was directly reaching out to council. So I think council's been maybe tied up most recently with a lot of the lake access stuff, and that may be taking a little bit of priority over other issues. But I'm still kind of optimistic that we can set something up over the next 4 weeks or so. So looking forward to that. With regards to Stafford Road, there's not been any new developments since I last reported on that. We got the information from Clackamas County, and they're basically indicating that the telecommunication and utility relocation was probably going to go until around June. And then they would start more of the development then. But there is a lot of activity, and I think everybody, as Rick was referring to, a lot of people see kind of that impact on the traffic. It backs up significantly, a lot of lane closures that are occurring there. And then other than that, you know, the path was kind of opening and closing along Stafford in front of the rec center. They were actually putting some of the construction vehicles onto the path itself as they were completing like landscaping and things like that. However, I think it's permanently opened, and as people have probably already observed, on the east side of Stafford there, the temporary pedestrian access has been removed, and so everything's open on the west side of Stafford. So that's really good news. I know a lot of people use that. So yeah, I don't think I had too much more for this month.
Thank you. Thank
Take
you.
any
Rob.
questions or comments.
So I did have a question. One of the things that we were waiting for was the city was going to be doing the review of all the parking in the around the schools, you know, no parking zones. Do you know if they have a timeline for that, or if it's still being done or being considered to be done?
I think it's still being considered to be done. It was 2025, as far as I was aware. They
Okay.
didn't narrow it down to say, you know, a particular quarter or half. I anticipate that it would be more likely in the second half of 2025, but hopefully it'll follow up on that.
Cool. Thank you.
Any other questions? Who wants to go next?
I can go on land use if you'd like.
Sure.
Couple items. City is going through their annual code update process to update codes. Probably the one that is most significant is in conforming to a state mandate, they are eliminating parking requirements on residential projects. And the state wants to encourage people to get out of their cars and take public transport and bikes and walk. And the way they're doing that is by eliminating the parking requirement. So there are some developments that are actually proceeding with no parking. There's an 8-unit cottage cluster project in First Edition that has no parking. And right now, Ken's project does have parking. I don't know what the ratio is on the current site, but he does have parking. He's commented that it would be foolish to develop something like that and not provide parking. But at any rate, so that's a code change. Second thing is, if I could share, well, let's see here real quick. This is the current site plan for Ken's project. And density is down from where he was a month or so ago. It's 52 units. think it was 54, 56 before. It's been up high, is in the 70s. You can see he's got cottage clusters along Stafford and pulled them back from Stafford. These are two-story structures. And then the green buildings are townhomes, and they are 2- and 3-story. And then these are cottages along the backside. So I believe this is the plan he will present at the neighborhood meeting coming up on the 9th at the C3 Church. That meeting is a mandatory meeting required by our planning code. And he has to document comments made by neighbors and issue a report to the city. So it's really important if people have questions or concerns, they want to express any concerns, they should come to that meeting and verbally express those and get them into the record. Any questions or thoughts on that one?
I was just gonna say, he did comment a couple of times that he was gonna send us information about that meeting so we could get it circulated via the website in a post.
Yeah.
And I've never gotten anything.
Yeah, I don't
From them.
think they've published it yet. They need to get the postcards and stuff mailed out, but I'm sure it'll have to happen here probably in the next week or so. But it is on the 9th, and I did confirm that it's going to be at 6 o'clock at the C3 Church.
Gary, don't they keep the website, their own website up to date?
I don't know. He just said he was gonna send us something that he wanted us to use. So I was waiting for him to send it.
Thank you for being on top of that.
And then, Chris, one question was, I thought I saw something that the city of Lake Oswego said that the resource protected area, there was a boundary error, and they needed to fix it, and then they were going to change that resource. They're going to do some type of waiver, I thought, for the resource protected area. So that seemed a little bit concerning, but
they did. It's down here. The issue is that the previous map showed the outline of that resource area, which is kind of the headwaters of Pecan Creek. And those were drawn before the Stafford Retirement Center was built. And since the Stafford was built, the runoff into Pecan Creek is much less because the Stafford has their own collection and rainwater, rainwater control system. So Ken hired an ecologist or natural ecologist. They did a study, and they proposed to the city to redraw that boundary of that resource, not eliminate it, but just redraw it. And this drawing here shows what it was redrawn to. It's slightly smaller. And that was just approved by the city.
Any other questions? Let's move on to Nancy. Parks?
Yeah, I don't have an update this month. I've running behind and I didn't get the update. So
That's okay.
yeah.
That's okay. Yeah, we don't have a lot of big changes happening right now, and we've already talked a little bit about LORAC, so
Yeah, I'll have a big update next time when we're in person.
thank you.
Can I give a quick update on the fire station?
Yes, and also your candidacy. You wanted to say something?
Oh, sure. Yeah, the fire station, the task force presented to the city council a couple of weeks ago, or maybe it was last week, and the meeting went really well, was well received. No pushback from the council, which was encouraging, and full speed ahead. Council decided to continue to the next phase, which is to hire an architect, come up with a conceptual plan, and hire a cost consultant to put dollars to it. So order of magnitude, we're looking at about an $18 million project. The bond will go on the ballot in May of 26. And so thank you, all of you who attended that meeting. It was really well attended. I think it made an impression on the council. The task force is going to continue in some form, and I will certainly stay involved all the way to the end through community engagement to get the word out for why this is important to the whole city, and work as hard as I can to get the bond passed.
So I do think it needs to be said, Chris did a very good job representing
Yeah.
Palisades.
I was at the presentation at City Hall and Carrie was on that committee as well, but Chris
Yes.
stood up and that presentation blew my socks off. It was
Awesome.
so thorough and understandable and yeah, seemed like it really represented the views of a lot of people in that were on the task force, and representing the community is really quite something.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Well, I guess on the, as far as the chair goes, I think I have three main goals and then maybe one sub goal. The main goals are, I want to continue the incredible job that Frederic has done with help from Carrie and others on the website and the newsletter, and getting the word out to the community and getting Palisades neighbors engaged in the neighborhood association through subscriptions, through attendance, whatever. We're up to almost 900 subscribers, which is just mind-boggling. I would like to see us get that way over 1,000 during my term and increase our engagement and connection with the community. So that's probably my first goal. The second is I want to do everything we can do as a neighborhood association to get the South Shore Fire Station across the finish line. And that's going to be a big job. I don't know if we're going to be competing with a school bond. If it fails this November, they may go on the ballot in May. So it's going to take a lot of work to get the word out, not just to Palisades, but to the entire city, why this is important. And I think my third goal is, some of you know, Frederic and us and others, board members, had a meeting with the city manager a couple of years ago. And the temperature of the manager was that neighborhood associations had kind of outlived their usefulness, and that now with internet and websites and stuff, it really, the need for the neighborhood association as an intermediary of communication was less critical. Well, I am determined to prove her wrong, and I think the first sign of that was when Nancy and Kirsty and some of us and Kara worked together to get the matching grant for the playground at Rosique. That was a tremendous success of how PNA and the city can work together for a mutual goal and succeed. I mean, that was a grand slam home run, a $1 million matching grant for that playground. So I want to continue that. I want the city council and the city staff to see Palisades is an important group that they need to take seriously. No city councilor should ever run for office without stopping by Palisades to hear what is important to Palisades and essentially getting Palisades endorsement. So those are kind of my three main goals. And I think this whole issue of emergency prep and preparation for what happens after an emergency is really important. One thing I learned on the task force is that the optimum time to assure recovery from a cardiac event is 6.2 minutes in terms of response time, having a first responder on site within 6.2 minutes. Well, I mean, that's a tall order. And but that time is extended if there's a trained citizen on site who can do CPR. So that really hit home to me that this is an important issue. So I want to see that continued. And I'm glad Frederic has taken that on. And I think that's going to be an important mission. I think it's another good way that PNA can collaborate with the city through training. We've had some great training sessions at the fire station on South Shore. Had one just recently on Stop the Bleed, which was tremendous. So I want to see that continue too.
I'd like to see more board members and committee members attend those, because they really are worthwhile. I am very careful where I spend my time, and I have to say they've all been worthwhile. Rick's been to quite a few of them. Carrie has too. I think a few of you others have. And, you know, when you're in town and you're available 1 hour on a one hour once a month, first Saturday of every month, it's time well spent. And, you know, anything else, Chris, before we move on to Carrie?
Okay, so yard signs, everybody, you have your new messaging, and there's some people with yard signs that aren't putting them out right now. If you do not want to put your sign out, like give it back and we'll try to find another spot for it. But your sign, you should have 3 new messaging. If you don't want to change it up, just put our annual meeting messaging on there, because you have one regarding a fire station training on the 5th of April, and then our general meeting, and then another training at the fire station. And if you don't want to swap out the messaging, just put on our general meeting. So we're putting that out there. And then, so yard signs, you should all have that. And then for the newsletter, I have some stats, but I don't know why, but I can't bring up my Adobe, my Acrobat, so I can't show my PDFs. But we did have a lower click rate through March this month than we've had in the past. February was 620 clicks. March was more like 595 clicks. So we're just having a little bit of flex. We didn't get in a profile piece on any of our board members. So if you want to be highlighted, please let me know. We had a few of you decline the option, which is I totally respect. But if you guys don't mind being written about and featured in the newsletter, please let me know so I can start doing those bios or the profiles. I have some thoughts of trying to find other people in the community to do these profiles on.
That's a great idea.
So it's just not us. But thank you. And Rob, you're on my list. You're on my short list.
Okay, yeah, I'll provide information.
Okay, cool. And if you need to, and David, if you need to, you can go back on the website and just see what I've been doing for other people. It is a little bit of a fluff piece, but I think it's fun, and it's fun to get to know you guys and write it. But I think that's about it.
Thank you, Carrie. You do so much with the newsletter and the signs, and so does Elisa. She's really stepped in to help with the signs, and I appreciate it very much.
Just a teeny tiny bit. I mean, I really, I look forward to stepping it up. And thanks, Carrie, for your time to train me. I do want to follow up with you on the Canva stuff, because you were right about the dollar amount on that. So I want to follow up with you on that.
I do want to ask before we sign off here, and I'll ask if anybody else has a question, but is there anybody who cannot make it on at the general meeting Thursday, April 10? You can't come. Oh, that's right, David. You're going to be in Italy.
Yes, sorry, I've got a pre-planned trip that's going to keep me away from that meeting.
Yeah.
That was planned
Yeah.
from last year.
That's right. You've told me that, and I apologize for not remembering. But we will be recording it. So should you want, when you're done, when you come back, otherwise I'll count on everybody else being there. John, we're going to have a few things for you. And we're going to have the tables like we usually do. You'll be able to make it on Thursday, April 10, John?
So far, so good.
Good. Excellent.
I do have another item to share with you, though.
Please do.
You had talked about paying for Basecamp for our next subscription. I did check with our Home Street Bank to see if we could maybe get an ATM account so we could pay for it, because apparently they only accept card or ATM debit or.
They accept debit cards, yes.
Yeah, but we cannot get
Right.
an ATM card or debit card with a savings account. We have to have a checking account, and that requires $1,000 minimum, as opposed to our $200 minimum for our business savings account that we have now.
Okay, thank you.
That's kind of the status of that. So we'll have to look for another alternative. But as I said, you know, they're thinking about adding project management to next year's pre-approved list. So maybe we just have to do this one more time, and that would be good.
And John, correct me if I'm wrong, will the city pay base camp directly? Is that an option?
Well, right now they think it's project management software, and it's not part of their list of things that they pay for.
Right, but
We would,
like Zoom, will they pay for Zoom directly, a Zoom license?
yeah, Zoom's okay.
Yep, but I'm trying to say, do we have to pay for it and then have them reimburse?
I think so, because they pay for Zoom because multiple different divisions use it, right? Isn't that how it goes? With the city, they pay for it because of multiple groups or organizations under the city use it.
Yeah, but I know they'll pay for it. They'll reimburse. I want them to pay for it directly. That's okay. John's having connection issues. Is there anybody, are there any other comments, questions, anything to share? Rick, anything?
The only thing, April 5th is going to be another event at the fire station. And I thought it was fire extinguishers, but it's something else now. What's the next event?
Yep, let me go to the
It's
website.
wildland prevention, and they changed it up. So when Frederick, Assistant Chief Artman emailed you like a month ago or so and changed the schedule, right?
Right, that's the problem is,
Okay.
yeah, or that's why you may have misheard. or-
Got
yeah,
it. Got it.
you had to
So,
change.
so for everybody that's listening tonight, April 5th, you can go to the website and sign up for that wildland class. It's on a Saturday. More people, the better.
Yeah, wildfire.
Okay.
Uh-huh, exactly. I'm always amazed when I come to these classes because I think I already know what there is to know. And I always learn something new or a less expensive or more expedient way of doing things. So it's just 1 hour on your Saturday. Yes, Chris, you've raised your hand.
Yeah, to put the wildlands issue back on the map, I talked to an insurance guy in my research on the fire station, and he said insurance companies in Oregon have watched what happened in California, and they're reevaluating the risk of homes that are adjacent to wildlands. And he said his insurance company is looking at all of the homes along the north edge of First Edition that abut Tryon, and reevaluating those risks. Those people may not be able to get insurance, or they may have to pay a lot more. So this idea of preparing for wildlands is
Yeah.
really
I
important.
talked to my insurance agent about my own premium going up more than I expected, asking if the California fires affect Oregon homeowners, and she said no. But she said the Bend area residents, because they're near so many trees, have an even higher lift in their annual premium than we do here in the Portland metro area. So absolutely, they're factoring the trees in.
Yeah, but there's a way of doing it and a way of not doing it. And some people at the last storm did a knee-jerk reaction and just started demolishing all trees on their properties. And there's a balance. There's a balance. Anything else? All right. Well, then I will say good night and thank you all for all your contributions. This is an amazing team and we've gotten a lot done this year.